Okay, so I'm 11 years old. I'm riding my bike all the way across town that I lived in to get over to my friend Tim's place. I knock on the door. I can hear Tim on the other side, but he doesn't answer the door. Knock again, doesn't answer the door. I ride my bike all the way back home. Tim calls, "How come you didn't come over?" And that's the kind of guy Tim was. So here I am in middle school, and this guy was the kind of person who you'd be in the middle of your Nintendo game and he'd walk over and he'd just hit the reset button for no reason. And then my favorite, you'd be hanging out on the playground, and he was a little bit bigger. He kind of, like in 6th grade, he was like 6 foot tall. But he'd walk up and he'd just put you in a random wrestling move, a DDT, or he'd knock you to the ground. And he did this to all kids, so by the time we graduated from middle school, the guy didn't have any friends, and for good reason. Now, my middle school, about 25% of the kids went to one high school and 75% went to another. Tim and I did not go to the same high school, but about couple weeks into my freshman year in high school, a bunch of us are at the mall and I spot Tim. And, you know, now things have gone past and we're not gonna be in the same school and we're not gonna be pals or anything, but I see him and I figured I'd go up and say hi. So a couple of us walked up that had known him and we said, "Hey, Tim, how's it going?" And he acted like he didn't even know us, and he just pushed everybody off the side and walked away. And I thought right at that time, this guy is an ass, and this guy is going to be my enemy. A couple weeks later, it's Halloween, and a bunch of us are sitting around, freshmen in high school, nothing to do. What do you guys think we should do? I know what we should do. Let's get some eggs and go over to Tim's house. Perfect. So we gather up a couple eggs from the house. We go to Tim's house. We throw eggs, and we run back to my place. And we're sitting around. We're laughing about it, thinking how cool we are, you know, juvenile delinquents. And all of a sudden, I start thinking I just seen this movie called "Can't Buy Me Love." I don't know if any of you have seen this movie, but in like it's typical 1980s, teen comedy. But in this one, the nerd pays this girl to be his friend so he can be cool. And in the scene where he finally realizes he's being a jerk because he's been now a cool guy, he's with all the cool kids, and they go to his best friend who's a nerd's house, and they vandalize it on Halloween. And they talk in the movie about how this is like the 4th or 5th year that they've done this. So all of a sudden I say, "Hey, we should start a tradition. We should do that to Tim's house every year." So sophomore year rolls around. And this time we've had a year to plan, so we've got a few more eggs and a couple of rolls of toilet paper and some shaving cream. We go over to Tim's house, Halloween night. We put the toilet paper in the trees, shaving cream in the car, throw the eggs, all good. Junior year rolls around, and now we have 2 secret weapons: a driver's license and a car. We also had one of my good friends' younger brother and his friends. So we gather up, because now we can drive, we go to the store, we buy tons of eggs, tons of shaving cream. I had collected over that year a whole bunch of illegal fireworks. We gave the 7th grade brother and his friends a couple of bags and some garden shovels and told them to go around and collect as much dog crap as they could find. And then we drove over to one of our friend's house. He lived in a nice condo complex, and we went into the pool rec area, got the key, went into the rec room. They had an unlocked closet, went in, and I still remember the number, 56 rolls of toilet paper. We loaded this all into my buddy's mom's minivan, and we drove over to Tim's house. It was beautiful. I'm like directing. We had broomsticks with the toilet paper. We're up and over the tree. I've got 7th graders putting 4 inches of foam on all the cars, and I'm lighting out all the Roman candles and the firecrackers. And we light it off, but I don't want to miss this. You know, the last 2 years we did what we did and ran like hell, but I don't want to miss this, and we've got a car for getaway. So as we're lighting off the fireworks, we just run across the street and hide in the bushes. And all this stuff starts going off, and all of a sudden, here comes Tim and his family out of the house, and they're looking at this catastrophe in front of their house and freaking out. Well, his dad yells, "I know who did this, and I'm coming for you." And immediately, the 7th graders freak out, and they start running. So they quickly look, and we start running, and he obviously is going to recognize who we are. So we run, get in the car, drive home, and we just hope he didn't recognize who we were. Next day I get home from school, there's a voicemail. My mom says, go check the voicemail. So I check the voicemail. It's this voice I recognize as Tim, and he's kind of weird. He says, "This is the gatekeeper. I know what you've done, and I will seek my revenge." So I quickly call my buddy Tom, and I said, "Dude, get your car. We got to go check something out." We had moved between sophomore and junior year of high school. So Tom and I drive back to my old house where Tim had proceeded the next night after Halloween to spray paint the driveway, spray paint the garage door, dig holes in the lawn. He busted the rear view mirrors, busted out the taillights of the car, and I didn't live there. So we immediately drove to the nearest payphone, and I called him up and I said, "Hey, jackass, I moved last year. I'm sure the people that moved into my house appreciate what you did to it. You better hope I don't tell them," and hung up. Senior year rolls around. But now there was a new word I had discovered. It was called girlfriend, and so we'd forgotten all about Tim and moved on to a whole new set of enemies. Thank you.